little over 2-year relationship. My boyfriend is fantastic on his good days, but lacks actual coping skills to deal with hard times and will do anything to get away from thinking about the situation and can be very harsh on me because he's stressed. I tell him to talk to me kindly and respectfully, and he says stuff like, "I can't always be nice to you." I would say he seems to expect me to comfort him 90% of the times I raise an issue, which I've stopped doing entirely because I know it's not right. He complains about the lack of suggestions from me on how to solve this issue because I have no idea what to tell him about handling his own mental state. And when I have suggested therapy, he tells me it doesn't help. We've been in the middle of an important argument where both of us knew what he did was inappropriate and disrespectful to me. And he started crying and telling me he needed to watch something funny and he needed to sleep before we could talk about it. I told him I'm sitting here, stressed and needing resolution too. And he's like, "I'm too sad right now to work it out." He also seems to lack empathy for me until it's too late. Recently, one of my older pets became very sick suddenly, and I was trying to get comfort from him. I told him I'm aware that sometimes with this particular breed of animal, they randomly go downhill and don't come back from it, particularly because he was older. BF basically scolded me about it, told me I think negatively, and I don't understand how much he worries when he sees me upset. Sure enough, when I was able to get my pet an emergency vet appointment, he died on the way there. And it hit my boyfriend that maybe I wasn't a freaking moron. I didn't even cry, I was just shocked. I think this was my breaking point. Boyfriend was suddenly all about comforting me, telling me it was okay to cry. "Oh, what can I do for you?" Literally nothing, man. Now a house that's an incredible price for us has appeared and boyfriend wants us to elope and buy it, which was something we had joked about before. Unfortunately, I'm extremely turned off and hurt right now, honestly considering walking away. Am I overthinking this? I feel like I'm choosing a future of someone who is always going to talk down to me when I need them. Someone who is always walking about 2 steps ahead of me instead of waiting. Someone who can't be romantic because it's so much effort to plan. Surely a good spouse would treat me respectfully and have patience and understanding for me. I really love him and there are great parts of the relationship. I would hate to live without him. However, I feel a lot of anxiety about this jump and I don't think I'm prepared for it anymore. Any advice on how to communicate this and maybe save our relationship? Edit. Thank you all for the comments. It's helpful to get perspective. I'll copy part of what I just put into another comment here. He and I were just chatting and he freaking scolded me again. I was trying to explain something and he misinterpreted, but then said I did, and then said, "And you immediately got mad at me," because I said, "I don't think you understand what I mean." I ended our call and I'm just salty. Honestly, I guess we will be breaking up. The Darvo comment someone else left really says everything. He never apologizes or tries to make me feel heard. I guess that's it. I feel the love I have for him dying every time he does this, and I know that's no way to live. At least on my own. I don't have some jerk twisting my words everywhere until he's the victim again. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Honey, I am sorry for your troubles. I lost a beloved pet, and holy crap, it's the worst. When I was your age, a whopping 8 years ago, I had a fiancé who was not at all right for me. We stayed together because of what you said. We hated to imagine living without each other. And we failed each other repeatedly, and we dragged it out, and we forced it, and it didn't work. When we broke up, I remember the sinking, dreadful feeling when he dropped all of my boxes off at my new apartment. I cried for about an hour after, then relief, and tasks to do, unpack. There were moments of that same dread throughout the coming months, but I lived, and not only just that, I was better off. Bluntly, this is not a man to build a life with at all. A partner must show up for you, especially in the worst times. You can try to keep this relationship alive, but you cannot unring a bell. He has shown you who he is. My current partner would never treat me this way. We have shared values, we have respect for each other, and we enforce boundaries, but not by being mean to one another, not by lecturing. Please move on from this man. You'll thank yourself, I promise. Edit. And while couples therapy could help, And while he could change, I went through a massive change in habits and attitude when I was 32, same age as your boyfriend. I still say walk away. The bad taste in your mouth is there for a reason. Comment 2. It honestly sounds like he hates you. Not necessarily you specifically, but the fact that you are a human being with needs and feelings that aren't 100% tailored around his comfort and convenience. Dude just does not like being in a relationship with a whole person, and that's not really something you can work on. If he doesn't like being close to people, and you're a people, there's an insurmountable incompatibility at the core of this relationship. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around for more of my saga. So, after that last blow-up, things went from bad to worse. My boyfriend, let's call him Mr. Sensitive, decided to make a grand gesture to fix everything. He went behind my back and put an offer on that house, the one that was a steal. He thought it would be this big romantic surprise that would sweep me off my feet, but when he told me, I felt my stomach drop. It was like he bought a one-way ticket for us on the Titanic. I was furious. How could he make such a huge decision without me? It was clear he still didn't get it. He didn't understand that it's not about grand gestures. It's about the day-to-day respect and understanding. But there he was, beaming with pride, waiting for me to jump into his arms. I didn't. I walked away. But karma has a funny way of showing up. Turns out the house had a ton of hidden problems. The inspection was a nightmare. The foundation was cracked, the wiring was a mess, and there was mold in the basement. It was going to cost a fortune to fix. Mr. Sensitive had already signed the papers and the seller had vanished. No refunds, no takebacks. He was stuck with a money pit, and I couldn't help but think it served him right for not including me in the decision. As for me, I moved out. I found a small apartment and took some time to heal. I adopted a new pet, a little rescue dog that had been abandoned. He was a mess too, but we were fixing each other up day by day. Then, one evening, I got a call from Mr. Sensitive's sister. He'd been in an accident. Nothing life-threatening, but he was in the hospital with a broken leg. She said he was asking for me. I didn't want to go, but something in me couldn't leave him alone in that state. When I got there, he was a mess. Not just because of the accident, but he was genuinely remorseful. He told me he'd lost the house, he'd lost me, and he'd finally realized he'd been losing himself all along. He'd started therapy while I was gone, trying to work on his issues. He wanted to show me he could change. I didn't know what to feel. Part of me was still angry, but another part of me remembered the good days. I told him I'd think about it. I wasn't ready to dive back into anything with him, but I agreed to start talking again, slowly. Things are still up in the air. I'm taking it one day at a time, focusing on myself and my little rescue buddy. Mr. Sensitive is trying, I'll give him that. But whether it's enough to rebuild what was broken, well, that's still to be seen. Thanks for reading. My sister-in-law mocked my difficult pregnancy and caused chaos after birth. So I watched her life fall apart and slam the door on our relationship forever. My relationship with my sister-in-law, Sil, and her partner has never been amazing. There was a time when I would have considered them a friend, or at least that we were on friendly terms. My partner, on the other hand, had a relatively good relationship with his sister, and we used to hang out together as a group semi-regularly in the past. Obviously, life happens, and we grew further apart, and we don't see them often. Sister-in-law tends to seek attention, and her favorite topic is herself and her health. I got pregnant early last year and welcomed my baby in the winter. I had a very difficult pregnancy and struggled both physically and mentally with it. There were some complications towards the end, and the delivery was very hard. It was touch and go for a while, but we both made it out the other side healthy and alive. The hospital stay itself brought forward a lot of old trauma, and I was working very hard to remain in control mentally. During the pregnancy, we had little to no contact with sister-in-law. Everything she knew was because my partner was reaching out and telling her. She never showed any interest. We saw them once or twice throughout the pregnancy, and that was pretty much it. She was informed about 2 months before the baby arrived that she would not see the baby until 2 weeks after the birth, to which she agreed was best. Things at the time were good between all of us, and we were relieved that she agreed with our plan. Towards the end of the pregnancy, I had a mentally challenging week or so. At this time, my partner and I thought it best for him to go home so I could have some time alone with my mother. It was what we both needed at the time, and I'm very grateful for being in a position where I was afforded space. Now, during that time, sister-in-law decided to join him at his mother's. There, he told them what I was going through, but was met with a series of negative comments about my character from sister-in-law. Once he returned, he told me, and we thought it best to take a step away from her, as she was only contributing negatively to both of our mental health. The week before my delivery, there were several complications that required me to remain in the hospital. My partner contacted sister-in-law to update her on the events, but again, little interest was shown. Sister-in-law expressed disappointment when she found out the baby would have the same star sign as her. She was not joking, and this was the extent of her feelings toward the situation. The day of the delivery was extremely stressful for my partner. A lot of things went wrong, and he felt as though there was nothing he could do. During a brief break, he stepped out to get food with his mother, where he discovered that sister-in-law was calling, expecting to see the baby. He reminded her of the conversation they had, and she agreed, and he moved on. On the way back to me, his mother expressed to him how disappointed and upset sister-in-law was, but my partner just walked away. After the birth, the day my baby arrived, my partner tried to call sister-in-law, but she decided she did not want to speak with us. She then sent a message outlining how upset she was and how we were excluding her. She claimed that she was very hurt and couldn't talk to him right now because of the decision. My partner did not acknowledge the message at the time. Considering he had just become a father, he found the message to be inappropriate. After we were given the okay that both me and the baby were healthy enough to go home, my partner thought it was time to respond to her message. He sent a long, detailed message explaining how her message was inappropriate given the situation, and how childish it was that she was trying to make the situation about her by getting their mother involved. He told her to grow up and act like an adult. To this, she responded that he was hateful and that she had done nothing wrong. After this, her partner sent my partner a huge message that was unnecessarily cruel and said some horrible things about me. Basically, he said they never liked me and barely tolerated my existence. I don't care now, but hearing that straight after having a baby hurt bad. What I was feeling was that sister-in-law was disrespectful for sending the message when she did. I felt as though a moment that should have been about my baby. She was trying to get everyone to look in her direction by crying that she was sad. She has refused to apologize and has fed into the victim persona with her mother and partner, and is acting like she is entitled to be in my baby's life, regardless of her actions. She is dragging out this issue, and we're at the point where we've just gone no contact. Important information. It was recommended to me about the 2 weeks. My hospital only allowed grandparents and partners to visit. My mother-in-law has been an incredible support to me and has tried to reason with everyone. So, are we the jerks here? What should we do? We're lost and so mad at the whole situation. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Sister-in-law sounds like she got jealous. It happens sometimes when babies arrive and/or partners have health scares. She wanted to reaffirm herself as a priority and got upset when she was rightfully told that she's not the main character of your lives. Stand your ground. You're doing wonderfully so far. If you indulge her, it will only make her attention issues worse. So starve her out. If she can apologize fully with no buts attached, you can consider reconciliation. But I wouldn't hold my breath. Comment 2. Well, sounds like unless she gets herself under control, seeing your child is a non-issue. Just maintain no contact and don't let her see the baby. The baby is half you, and if they feel that strongly against you, then they feel that strong against baby. Nobody's entitled to a relationship with your child. Now, for the update. Thanks for the comments on my last post. So, the drama with my sister-in-law, Sil, took a turn for the worse. After we went no contact, she started spreading rumors about us to the rest of the family. She said we were keeping the baby from her out of spite, and that I was manipulating everyone to turn against her. It was like she was on a mission to make us look bad. Then, out of nowhere, she showed up at our house. She was yelling and causing a scene, demanding to see the baby. My partner was at work, and I was home alone with the newborn. I was shaking, but I didn't let her in. She banged on the doors and windows for what felt like hours. Our neighbors called the police because of the noise, and when they arrived, she played the victim, saying she just wanted to see her niece. The officers saw through her act, thankfully, and told her to leave. After that incident, my mother-in-law was furious with sister-in-law. She had always tried to keep the peace, but this was too much. She told sister-in-law that she needed to back off and respect our wishes, but sister-in-law wouldn't listen. She turned on her own mother, accusing her of choosing sides and not supporting her own daughter. The next day, my partner's phone was flooded with messages from sister-in-law's partner. He was apologizing, saying sister-in-law had gone too far and that he didn't agree with her actions. He confessed that he was thinking of leaving her because he couldn't deal with her behavior anymore. It was a mess. But here's where I got my revenge, and I didn't even have to lift a finger. Sister-in-law's partner actually followed through and left her. He told the whole family that he couldn't be with someone who was so self-centered and cruel. Sister-in-law was left alone, and everyone saw her true colors. It was like the masks she wore for so long had finally slipped, and everyone could see the person she really was. The family started to distance themselves from her, and she tried to reach out to us, probably realizing she had no one left on her side. But we were done. We blocked her number and moved on with our lives. It was a tough time, but in the end, her own actions led to her downfall. Thanks for reading. My fiancé procrastinates and ignores our baby's needs. So I left him and used his love letters to expose his lies and shatter his world. I, 22-year-old female, have been with my fiancé, 29-year-old male, for 2 years. The reason I left and moved back in with my parents is because he is a huge procrastinator, and it stresses me out. I'm due in a month, and all we have purchased is a stroller and car seat. We have an extra room which needs to be cleaned out in order to make it a nursery. Every time I ask, he says he will do it next week, which he doesn't. And now it's turned into 2 months. He thinks I'm trying to boss him around and tell him what to do, since I'm constantly asking him to clean the room, take me to buy the baby items we need, or help around the house, mowing the grass, cleaning the porch, picking up after himself. He is self-employed, so he has time, but there is always an excuse for him. I feel like if he cared about us, it would have been done, so I left a week ago. I have now bought 80% of the baby items we needed with my savings. He says if he makes enough money, he will try to pay me back slowly. He has come over every day to hang out with my dad, but refuses to have a conversation with me. I am very hurt. He wants me to come home, to stop nagging and to trust him. I told him that's not going to happen because I don't trust him to get things taken care of. I refuse to go back if things are going to stay the same. I asked him to talk today, and he said he couldn't because it was late and he needed to go to work early. I told him if he didn't talk to me to forget about us. Who's in the wrong? All I want is for him to take care of us and come back for us and show us how much he loves us. But he doesn't want to because his pride is too big. Or maybe he just doesn't care. My son is about to be here, and this situation will change the rest of my life. Either I'm a single mother or we fix things. But I don't have much time left. Can someone please give me advice? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. My fiancé is lazy and doesn't get things done. He wants me to stop telling him what to do. Our baby will be here in 1 month and nothing has been done or bought. He expects me to trust that everything will be fine. I don't trust him since we don't have much time or money, so I left. Okay, this makes sense. He sounds like a terrible partner. I hoped he would change or fight to keep his family. Why? He doesn't seem like a good partner at all. You don't even trust him. He refuses to have a conversation with me. I feel like it's a manipulation tactic, but he might just not be capable of thinking things through. Maybe. But if you left in order to get him to fight for his family, then that's manipulative as well. It seems like you're better off separate, Just make sure he pays child support. Comment 2. He has shown through his actions that he's not ready for a child. You gave him multiple opportunities to step up, told him what to do, gave him timelines, expressed your needs. He didn't step up. Now it's unfortunately time to put your money where your mouth is. If you go back while nothing has changed, you're signing up for a lifetime of this. Boundaries are about saying what you will do if a behavior continues, not trying to control his behavior. You can't make him be a father, but you can start your child's life with a family who will help and support you. You can't make him be responsible, but you can make the most responsible decisions for you and your child. It's understandable to be sad he didn't fight for this, but the fact that he didn't tells you everything you need to know. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around to hear more of this mess. So, after I last wrote, things went from bad to worse. My fiance, let's call him Mr. Procrastinator, finally decided to clean out the nursery. But guess what? While he was cleaning, he found some old love letters from an ex. Instead of tossing them, he hid them in his car. My best friend saw him and told me. When I confronted him, he said that they were just memories, nothing important. But why hide them? Then, my parents threw a surprise baby shower. It was supposed to cheer me up. Everyone was there, even Mr. Procrastinator. He actually bought a crib finally. Some action, right? But during the party, my mom's antique vase got broken. Mr. Procrastinator and my dad got into a huge fight about it. Dad accused him of not respecting our home. Mr. Procrastinator stormed out, and I was left to calm everyone down. The next day, he apologized to my dad. They made up, but it felt off. Dad started acting weird, like he was hiding something. I overheard him telling my mom that he felt guilty about the vase. Turns out, he broke it, not Mr. Procrastinator. Dad was too ashamed to admit it. He let Mr. Procrastinator take the blame. But wait, there's more. Mr. Procrastinator's business partner came by to drop off some documents. She pulled me aside and said their business was in trouble. Mr. Procrastinator had been using the money for our baby stuff to keep the business afloat. That's why he hadn't bought anything. She felt bad and gave me some cash to help out. I was grateful, but furious at him for lying. I decided to confront him about the business. He confessed and said he was trying to fix everything before the baby came. He promised he'd sell his car to pay for the baby's things. I wanted to believe him, but it was hard. The next day, he actually sold his car. I was shocked. He handed me the money, and for a moment I thought maybe he was changing. But then I found out he'd sold it to his ex, the one from the love letters, and he'd sold it for way less than it was worth. When I asked why, he said she needed a break. I couldn't believe it. He was still putting her before our family. Now he's been coming over to help more, but it's like he's doing it to win my dad over, not me. He keeps saying we're a team, but I feel more alone than ever. My friends say that I should leave him for good, but it's complicated. I want my son to have a father, and when Mr. Procrastinator is good, he's great. But those moments are rare. I'm stuck in this cycle, hoping he'll change, but deep down, I know he won't. I'm running out of time and patience. I'm about to be a mom, and I can't keep living in this chaos, but here I am, still hoping for a miracle. Thanks for listening to my rant. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.